Hey guys, welcome back. It is your favorite Gimp with a Limp, and I'm here with a special one for you. I have Warhammer Battlesector. It's by Slithering Games. Now, this is the PC game that I'm doing a review for, and it's not mainly the base game, but really the Tau expansion that is just now been released. But I am going to kind of review the whole game for you. Now, like how I've done some of these reviews before, I'm going to give you my basic thoughts to start with, and at the end I'm going to tack on a match being played. That way you guys can see the game in action if you would like to see how it actually plays out without me just talking over it. Alright, so what is Battlesector? Battlesector is a game set in the Warhammer 40,000 universe, which everyone should know about because the lore and the universe itself is awesome. Sadly, Games Workshop is not as diligent with their IP as they should be, and the 40K brand has been tacked on to a lot of crappy games out there. Good for us, though, Battlesector isn't one of them. Battlesector is a very good game, and it is loyal to the tabletop experience. In the tabletop experience, you're going to have squads or individual vehicles that you're going to move across the battlefield that will then shoot at the enemy, and then, if they can, assault, get in close combat with the enemy. You'll try to take certain objectives or achieve certain goals. At the end, whoever's got the most points wins. That's the basics of the tabletop game. The digital game plays relatively similar in that it is grid-based, and you're going to have movement points, shooting allocations. You're going to be able to get into close combat. I do like how you have the ability to overwatch, so you can put your units in a good position so they can fire on the enemy as they come up. Now, there is a campaign for the game, but it's only for the base factions that come with it, and that is the Blood Angels. Yeah, the Blood Angels. I think it's the Blood Ravens. I forget. It's one of the red ones. The Blood Angels are the faction, I believe, that is used in this game. I can't remember which one. There are a handful of Blood factions, but the Blood Angels are the main ones. And of course, the Tyranids are the opposite faction. The Tyranids are the biomass, the bug alien ones, the ones that really have no brain. They just live to consume all matter that they can and turn planets into a devoid husk. Those are your two main factions that are in the game, but you can get others. When it comes to the other factions, you can get extra units for both the Tyranids and the Blood Angels. Also, the Tau, which I'm going to be touching on here specifically, the Demons of Khorne, the Orcs, the Sisters of Battle, the Necrons are all different factions that can be added. Now, this is the good and the bad of this game. And it's something that is done almost religiously with games that have Warhammer 40,000 as the base, as the lore for the game. And that's that the pieces will be parsed out to you. So you'll get the core game, and it'll have 2, 3, 4 factions, depending on whatever game. But then if you want extra factions in the game, because of course, who doesn't want the extra factions? You're going to have to pay more to have those factions be a part of your game. Yes, I get it. They got to make money. They got to sell the game. It's understood. But I do believe that they charge too much as far as Battlesector is concerned for the expansions. I would wait for a sale on these. They're anywhere between like 5 and 15, depending on the faction, but 15 is a rather high cost to add just the Tau or just the Necrons or just the Sisters of Battle. Yes, you want those in there. And if your favorite faction isn't in the core game, which my favorite faction is the Necrons, I've got to pay $15 on top to be able to play as my guys. That's one of those things that I would have just liked to have seen them do it. $5 for the expansion, something like that, for the extra factions versus the high cost that we're having to pay now. While I'm at it, the elites for both the Blood Angels and the Tyranids have to be bought as well. They're a couple bucks. Yes, it's really not that much, but that's something that's like, include that in the base game. Don't sell that as an expansion. That should just be in the core. If you're going to sell the factions, don't sell extra units for the core factions that come in the game. Now, like I was saying at the beginning, Games Workshop has a bad habit of tacking their IP onto a bunch of junk. There's so many mobile games out there that are just straight garbage. Thankfully, Battlesector isn't that. Battlesector has good gameplay. That is what is really important here. It is a good game and it is worth the money. You have multiple options. You can do campaigns, you can do skirmishes. They have the editors available for you. So there is a mod community out there that's creating things. Like I said, the story campaign isn't available for all the extra factions. You only do have the one story campaign, but they do have this planetary supremacy option. And that's where I think a lot of players are going to spend their time. And that's the gameplay you're going to see me play with the Tau faction. And it's this big grid-based field that you're going to be fighting over. And a number of factions can compete. You can do one-on-one, or you can have multiple factions all competing. And you're going to hop from tile to tile to tile to tile, capturing these tiles, and certain tiles will gain you bonuses. Now, if you played the tabletop game, you'll understand that you play to a points level. So you might fight at 1,000 points worth of units, or 1,500 or 2,000. And this kind of replicates that, right? So you start off with about 1,500 points worth of troops, and then you can bounce to these new tiles. And as you take them over, you gain army points, so you can have a little bit bigger force. So by the end of it, you're not fighting with 1,500 points worth of units. You might be fighting with 2,000 or 2,500 points worth of units if you've captured the right tiles. Love that. Think that's really cool. This is going to give the game the lifespan, the replayability that it needs when you don't have more than just the base campaign, the story campaign. Some players don't like the story campaigns. I love story campaigns. I would love to have a story campaign for every different faction. They haven't gone with that, but we do have this, which gives the game that life that it needs. Now, something that kind of threw me a little bit is in that planetary supremacy campaign, when you're capturing the tiles. At first, I thought my standing army is what I had, and I would have to buy new units as I lost them in battle. And God, did I lose them in battle. I mean, they were dropping left, right, and center. I lost about half my force. And I was worried, how can I replenish back up? That's something that isn't in this game. You don't have to worry about buying replacement troops. You can just fill your roster to a certain point level. So in the game I play, you see that I fight with my 1,500. I end up winning the match. And then afterwards, I can select units as I like, and I can kit my army out however I want. I mean, there are some restrictions, of course, but generally speaking, I can put whatever units I want into my army. I like that. It gives the player the choice, the player the agency to pick what works best for them. You can even replicate the army that you use in real life. If you play 40K, you can create that right here on the tabletop and see how well it does in the game. Love that. Really cool. Now, that's not to say that there isn't unlocks, though. You don't start off with all of your units available to you. As you go along, you'll gain these points, and the points can be used to unlock not only new units, but new abilities for the units that you already have. So the Tau faction with their Devilfish tank, the hovering tank that they have, you might start off with the base version, but then you get to unlock the big plasma cannon on it, the different types of battle suits, and the same thing's going to apply to all the different other factions. The Space Marines can unlock new dreadnoughts, new Predator tanks, or new configurations for them. Really cool. Love how this gives you that ability to kind of tweak your army as you're going along, and it gives you something to work for, because without having to worry about unit loss, you can always replenish your army back up to that point level, whatever your cap is. You need something to work towards to make the campaign feel like you're achieving some type of goal. The point system and unlocking the units gives you that. So for me to touch on the next part, flesh out the base gameplay a little bit, in that it is hex encounter, for lack of a better word. This is squares, grids, but same difference. Your units will occupy a certain spot. You'll move across the board. You will have access to certain weapons. Some units will be better at shooting. Some units will be better at melee. There will be infantry types, vehicle types, monster type units, and you'll be able to fire at the enemy, take them out, reduce them down, use all your special abilities like grenades or flamethrowers or missiles. That's the stuff that I was talking about that you can unlock as you're going along with this type of campaign. Now let's touch on the Tau, because the Tau is good and bad. And here's what I mean by that. The Tau, they've done a good job of accurately representing them to the board for the most part, with one caveat. And after I played this game, I went and I read the reviews, and I found that other people were complaining about the same thing that I was experiencing in my game with the Tau. So the Tau, they're the space communists, the little blue communists who want everyone to be part of the greater good. And they even try to entice mankind to join them in their fight for the greater good by putting out propaganda campaigns that they have blue Tau waifus who are there for the humans with big old yummy jubblies, and come join us, fight for us, and you can have Tau women. You know, the Tau are just the neatest faction. They expanded their technology very quickly. They're very sci-fi spacey. They have these battle suits, and these huge battle suits like Japanese Gundam Walker looking things, right? With huge plasma cannons on them, hovering tanks. The mankind in the lore, when they first encountered the Tau were this primitive race. And then all of a sudden they just exploded. Now, in the grand scheme of things, the Tau are relatively small. They only control a handful of planets compared to mankind, which controls, thousands and thousands of worlds. So if humanity really put all their attention onto the Tau, they could wipe them out in a heartbeat. But they don't really consider the Tau that much of a threat, and the Imperium has fought on the side of the Tau occasionally. Here's the thing, though. The Tau, they fight from a distance. They shoot. Generally, that's what they're known for. They shoot. They have the Kroot, a different alien race that does more of their close-in fighting. The Kroot will be cavalry, or they'll have infantry that have more primitive type weapons, but they have like spikes on them. The Kroot are the ones that are designed to get in close and touch the enemy. The Tau don't do that. The Tau shoot from back over here. The Kroot go stick in, but they're all part of the Tau Empire, okay? The problem with that is that's not accurately represented into the game. And I remember playing it and I'm like, why am I outranged? Why are all of my weapons so short range? The Tau, they're designed to reach out and touch somebody. They sit back here and they shoot way over there, right? And there's no Kroot whatsoever in this. And I expected to see at least some basic Kroot units that I could use as cannon fodder in the front lines to keep them from getting to my battle suits and my more vulnerable Tau fire warriors, right? But there are no Kroot in the game whatsoever. And the Tau have this incredibly short range. Now, they have weapons that have good punch to them, but it felt like I was just always being outshot by the enemy, as in like they're hitting me from a distance. Now, the Necrons, who is the match I'm going to show you guys, I can see that, the Necrons have relatively decent range, but still the Tau are supposed to outrange even the Necrons. But the Tau, so many of their units have a range of 1 or 2 or 3 hexes, which is relatively, or square, should I say, which is relatively short range in this game. I just didn't feel very Tau-y, right, of hanging back. Now, of course, there are some units that unlock that will have farther range lower down in the tech, but even the baser units should have relatively good range. My infantry should be shooting at comparable distances as Necron warriors, and they're not. In my match, watch as the game plays at the end of this video, you'll see that the Necrons kind of ring me, and the warriors are all just pouring in the fire onto my guys, and I had to move up and close range with the Tau to really engage the enemy. And then I was getting just torn up by their close combat units, because I didn't really have any close combat units. I didn't have anything I felt like I could stick in there as meat in between my shooty units and the enemy units. The Tau are a lot of fun. They are a great faction. Plenty of people love the Tau faction. But as far as this game goes, they have got to get some buffs. They need to have their range extended across the board. Just across the board. Maybe they had different experiences when they were balancing the Tau units out. I don't know. Maybe reduce their firepower damage a little bit if it's too much and then extend their range out. But I should feel like I'm just picking people off. The only one that I had any feeling like that with was my Tau commander, who had this sniper rifle who could really just shoot at a distance and hit the enemy. But even my battle suits, they had some missiles they could fire at range, not that great of range, but at range. But their other weapons just had no range to them. And the Tau are not the type to go running in and hook and jab. That's not what they do. They hang back. The Kroot go do that. So I want to see the Kroot added to the Tau faction and the Tau get a little bit farther range. Does it make them unplayable? No. The Tau are perfectly playable as they are. If you have decent tactics, use cover, concentrate fire, you can take out the enemy, the whole nine. They're just a little weaker compared to the other factions so far from my experience. And they need to have that just a little bit of a buff to bring them into that comparable range. So maybe some patches later on, they'll kind of buff the Tau up and hopefully they can get their range so they can shoot the enemy. So ultimately, when it comes to Battlesector is a definite buy. Definite buy. It's worth it at its current price, right? You get a lot of gameplay, even if you don't buy the expansions, right? So it's $39.99. You get the two factions, the Space Marines and the Tyranids. You get the story campaign, you get the planetary thing. And if I remember right, you can play against different enemy factions even if you don't own that DLC. You can only play as the factions that you own, but you can play against other factions. And you still have skirmish, you still have mods and whatnot that you can download. So there's a lot of gameplay, huge amount of gameplay in there for Battlesector, just as the core game. And if you got the core game, you like Space Marines, you like Tyranids, whatever, you're good. You can stop there. Honestly, this one, I would pick up the core game whenever you want to. It's worth it at its price. The expansions, I would wait for a sale. And if you get both, if you find them on sale, like it pops up on Steam occasionally, for about the price of the core game, you get most all the expansions, something to that effect, a bundle, absolutely jump on it. It's worth it for all the expansions if you get them on sale. Is it worth it for all the expansions not on sale? No, because it's like $75 or so roughly for the expansions, which is almost twice the cost of the core game. And that's just too much. I'm sorry. I hate that because the gameplay is good. I don't want to knock on the game. The game is really good playing. It's fun. It's for 40K fans, especially tabletop fans. Absolutely. You're just costed out when it comes to expansions. Put it on your wish list, wait for a sale, and jump on the game when you can get it on sale and get the bundle. It's absolutely worth it at that point. Lastly, before I sign off, I will touch on the mechanics of the game itself. Some people have gotten on to me a little bit about this, that I don't cover this, but I focus more on the gameplay than some of these aspects. When it comes to things like sound, graphics, and the like, it's good, right? This is not a AAA game that you're going to expect the high-end 3D rendering effects on us. No, it's not that. This is a AA game. The graphics are perfectly fine for a strategic level game that you're playing, and the sound effects are great. I love the sound of it. Things that need to sound deep and throaty and meaty, like a dreadnought, sound that way. The explosions are good and punchy. Laser fire, gauze rifles going off, bolt cannons firing, all of it perfectly serviceable, and it's great. I also did not notice any glitches or errors or anything like that. So nothing mechanically wrong. It's been out long enough now that most all the bugs have pretty much been worked out. So don't have to worry about that either. Anyway, that's going to be it for me on this one. Stay tuned if you want to see how the Tau play. I'm going to tack that match on at the end so you can watch that in its entirety. All right, y'all take care. I'll catch you in the next one.
What are your orders?
Yes. Ready for orders. Pushing forward. They will not get through this way. Moving. Open fire!
Pitiful.
Firing on targets.
Wherever you need me. Firing now. Pitiful.
How can I assist?
Standing by. The trap is set. Strike team, ready.
Establishing fire zone.
Moving out. The trap is set. The trap is set.
They will not get through this way.
Scanner picking up movement.
Ready for orders.
Blood from afar!
Armored support, ready. Open fire!
Pushing forward. They will not get through this way. Pushing forward. Clear them out.
Standing by. Strike team, ready.
What do you need?
Moving out.
They will not get through this way.
The trap is set.
Yes.
Standing by. Cut them down!
Blood from afar!
Armored support, ready.
Moving out.
To the front line! Removing targets.
Blood from afar!
I am ready.
We're under fire!
Yes.
How can I assist?
Blood from afar!
Strike team, ready.
Pushing forward. Ready for orders. What do you need? They will not get through this way.
What are your orders?
Armored support, ready.
Blood from afar!
Moving out. Cut them down!
Ready for orders.
Standing by.
How can I assist?
They dare not approach.
Seek cover!
I am ready.
Yes.
Ready for orders. Clear them out.
There are countless lessons to be learned on the battlefield. You will find me in the thick of the battle, not lurking in the back line.
Fast attack. Ready for scouting mission.
They cannot kill what they cannot see.